welcome to I Got My Miracle. I'm so grateful that you are here. I'm here with my friend Charles from South Carolina.
Yes.
Charles from South Carolina. And we had a great week together. And this is what this little Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live is about sharing what happened this week. And Charles had such a great week. And Spirit told me to ask him. I should have listened. But here he is.
Glad to be here.
Glad you're here, brother. Thank you. So, tell me, this is your first time with me?
First time.
But it's not your first time working with ayahuasca.
No. Had done ceremonies literally in people's dens and in the States and in some retreat centers and some larger groups. And then spent some time in Peru in the jungle under the Shipibo tradition, studying and doing some work there as well.
Which is really that's the authentic tradition.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah. It's different work, and yet the same work at the same time, right? So my partner, my love, had been to rythmia, and we were going through a lot, and she said, "Let's go together, and I want you to experience this." And I was a bit hesitant, to tell you the truth, as it relates to what I thought was
right, because you did the jungle experience,
right,
which is serious.
Yeah, and so I, to be honest, had a prejudice a little bit before coming here, but not anymore.
That's such a cool thing because we want to honor the work that goes on in the indigenous communities. Yeah. And rythmia doesn't pretend to be an authentic indigenous experience. Rythmia's experience.
Right.
And so I'm really interested to talk to you about the differences between what you experienced, not that one's better or worse, but just the differences in the experience. Yeah. But before we get there, I want to know what brought you here. So your love called you and said, I want you to come, want to come together.
Yeah, we've been through a lot over the past couple of years, and had we were married and had separated and legally divorced, and we're on our own healing journey. We have a 5-year-old together. We're sharing custody of our child and kind of going through our own healing individually during that time period. And she decided in her individual path, her healing path, to come to rythmia and sit with the medicine here, and then came back
after you divorced.
This is after, yeah, and sat with the medicine once, and then felt the power of rythmia. Came back again, continued to feel the power of rythmia, and then the second time she came, she called me and said that she was still had love for me in her heart, and I still had a space for her in my heart. And it had been a year and 9 months exactly, and I listened, and we reconnected in a deeper way and through conversation. And she said, "Well, I want to gift us coming together." And I said, I'd love that. She said, "Good, because I already bought it." And so we set a date.
So how long has it been since you all reconciled?
It was at the end of April.
This year?
Yeah.
So April this year was a year and 9 months since you've been divorced.
Right.
And here it is, April, May, June, July, 3 months.
3 months.
After you've reconciled.
Right.
And you're here together.
We're here together. And this experience here with us together has even more solidified an understanding of who we are as individuals, and now the ability to reunite in a deeper way. Also.
And when you arrived, what was your, how did you arrive? What was your, what I want to find out is sort of the difference between Charles last Saturday and this Saturday.
Yeah. Good question. I arrived with a preconception, I feel like, of what I was going to experience. Some stubbornness, I feel like, and yet also some fear, to be honest, of what the process was going to be like, even though I'd sat with the medicine before, and yet ultimately I had the expectation of getting closer with her and having a deeper understanding of that, and then also, prior to coming here, to tell you the truth, despite our individual healing along the way and facing ourselves individually, there's a lot of discontentment in my life. It's just that underlying current of discontentment. Something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
right? I've got a good job. Um, my ex-wife tells me she loves me. We were getting back together. I have a beautiful child and a 23-year-old from a previous marriage. I don't need anything, right? There's nothing that I need in my life except that I don't feel whole still. And so that was another part of wanting to come here and search for what is that? Why is there this?
There's still something missing.
There's still
this feeling that there's something missing.
Yeah, this I don't want to call it unhappiness, but maybe. I mean, there's this discontentment of something missing.
I think that is the most foundational piece in our culture, Western civilization,
Yeah.
which is there's something else that I need in order to feel whole. You know, and for me, it goes back to Adam and Eve. You know, because Adam or Eve, it wasn't that she took a bite of the apple. It wasn't original sin. It was original guilt, right? Because the snake said, "Take this, my fake apple. Take this apple, and you'll have knowledge. You're missing something. You'll be better if you have this." And that was the first. Before, she didn't feel like she missed anything. Nothing was missing. But then someone made her think she was missing something. You know, that's the beginning of this idea of not enough. I must need something else,
right.
to complete me, which is a never-ending trap. So I feel that too. I feel that same way. And so so you came with this sense of discontent. Something's missing. I don't know why I'm discontent. I have everything I need. I got two beautiful children. My wife is reconciled with me. I'm stable financially. I've got a job. Like, life is good. You're sober. All of this, and so you arrived. Right. And how was your week?
Well, I mean, any kind of there aren't enough words to really give it service. I mean, I can't describe it, but other than incredible, and I think when you asked that question, one of the things that stuck out for me, outside of the fact that each ceremony was profoundly different, and the shamans and the workers in the room and the space that was held was taken care of.
Right, really well.
Very well. I talked to one of the shamans. I said, "This container in this space is just beautiful." And he said, "Welcome to the starship." So, yeah. And so that was powerful in of itself. I felt taken care of, 100% all the time, right? But one of the things that really stuck out for me was not only that I was taken care of in ceremony, and that I was guided and felt protected in ceremony, even though it was very hard, right, and whatnot, was that outside of ceremony, the classes that I was able to attend, your classes, and the instruction and the systems that were put in place that allowed me to ask the right questions and dig deeper in exploration. That's really what really, to me, made it in a bigger way.
I agree, brother. It's the classes, it's the intentionality.
Yeah.
And okay, because I want to get into that and the difference between the jungle. But how are you leaving today? What's the shift? Did you get your miracle?
Well, yeah, I got a few. I got a few. One of the during the feminine night, we had the divine feminine come in. Carolina, I think it is, said. I sat and talked with her afterwards, and one of the things that she said actually to the group was, it's not that we're afraid to die; it's that we're afraid to live. And I resonated with that. And it kind of goes back to that discontentment. Why am I so afraid to live my best life? I'm just getting in my own way, right? So that's one of the miracles, was that I'm getting in my own way. There's no external thing that I need.
Yeah.
It's me. It's what I don't recognize about myself, or I'm not willing to walk through for myself to be myself. fully in an authentic way, right? Because we do have external things that tell us how we should feel, what we can and cannot do in our lives, or and sometimes I recognize those things and I say, no, that's okay. I'm going to do this anyway. And other times I listen too much, maybe, and don't allow that which I know I should be and who I am to unfold, right? And then that creates resistance and it makes me unhappy, right? So that was a big thing for me, that the ability to be your authentic self and let your love light shine, so to speak, right? Was something that unfolded for me.
Mm.
Second thing I would say was a deeper understanding of the relationship I have with Olivia. I love my life, and that healing around what happened when we got separated, when we got a divorce, and then we came back together. And the responsibility we have for our child, and a different understanding of love, right? In a deeper way. That's
What was the different understanding of love?
um, you know, love can sometimes feel like love, and it's really selfish
Mm.
in a lot of ways. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. It can be under the guise of what you think you need or what you think the other person needs, or but it's for me. It goes back to that authenticity. It's allowing the other person to be the individual that they're going to be, that they need to be, no matter what, because that's their path. And then allowing me, if you can get with another person who says, "I love you for you," I know I'm not gonna like everything about you, and you're gonna bug the shit out of me sometimes, right? And same thing goes, but you allow each other to be each other unconditionally.
Brother, that is
That's
the And stream. I think are we still on? Yeah, we're still on. Hopefully somebody stayed. We got 2 people. Yay! Well, we had a little technical difficulty. We won't bore you with the details, but thank you for still being here. The 2 of you that are there, thank you. Okay. Okay, so where we were, do you remember where we were?
You were talking about the little book.
Anthony Mello,
Yeah.
yes. We're talking about love. And I was acknowledging you for what an advanced understanding of love that you just articulated. Because this guy's a master teacher, and you just articulated his point so beautifully. So just acknowledge.
Well, no, thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was a realization that I arrived at here. Because before the relationship was entangled,
Right.
It was codependent.
In that way, it's like in essence we make an agreement. Like I want to be special to you, and you want to be special to me. So you've got to make yourself pleasing to me, and I got to make myself pleasing to you. And that's not love.
Right.
That's bondage.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Really. Yeah. And the phrase to me that echoes what you just said. He says, "Say to your love, I leave you free to be yourself, to follow your inclinations, to do whatever is to your liking." He gives a couple more parts of that, and then he goes, "Say those words to your love, and notice what happens in you. You either say those words, and your heart contracts." And he goes, "And then you're exposed for the clinger and exploiter that you are." But if you say those words, and your heart opens, you're ready to love, because love can't exist in freedom. Only love can only exist in freedom. And in essence, would you rather walk the earth alone in freedom, or live in prison with company?
Which resonates with me, because that time we were apart, and then coming back together, what I learned, and I continue to learn about myself, is that I have to be able to be with myself, and be comfortable with that. And sitting with the medicine here at Rhythmia, and the steps you guys take us through in class. What have I become in these steps?
The 3 intentions.
The 3 intentions that allow me to really analyze this life path in a different way. And I had a profound awakening around something that I thought I'd already dealt with in my life from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it came back in mid ceremony, and I was like, what? Why is this here again? And she showed me something that I had thought I had dealt with, and I had not dealt with it. And I think I'd rationally dealt with it, but not dealt with it on a heart level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'd rationally, mentally put my head around it, but not made the connections on what I had become because of the trauma that had existed earlier on, and how that affected current behavior, future behavior. And so that was baffling. I was like, well, okay, this is still here. Shit.
And it's like, it's not even like this is still here, because I feel like I've heard great master teachers talk about awakenings and awarenesses around some of the most basic pieces of spiritual growth and development: jealousy, envy, resentment, and I think it's like a spiral, right? We're talking about the serpent and the snake.
Yeah.
That it's like, here's the territory that we're covering, and we sort of like covered that territory here, and we kind of expand and grow. And so, like, if this is the area that you said, I dealt with that. Well, you did. You dealt with it here in one level, but now you're at a more expanded level. You have new tools, new understandings, and you're kind of, it's like a hawk circling around an area. You got a lower perspective,
Right.
Field mouse perspective, hawk perspective, eagle perspective, condor perspective. All same territory, different view.
Good analogy. Yeah.
So, yeah, beautiful. So you dealt with this. You saw on a deeper level a childhood experience that you were aware of, but then you saw deeper connections with how it was affecting your adult behavior.
Yep.
Can you share what that was? Or
Sure.
you don't have to.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's not an uncommon thing. I feel like. Um, and so when I was growing up, um, in my household, I think it was around maybe 8 years old. I had an older brother who was 6 years older, and in the house there was pornography, Penthouse magazines, Playboy magazines, that kind of thing. There was also an old school 8 millimeter pornographic videotape. You know, you hook up the little thing, and I used to have access to that material. It would take when I could get away with it. I go steal it and look at it. Right? But I hadn't gone into puberty yet.
Right.
It was these images were they're in my mind, and I was exposing myself to them, and then up through puberty it continued and whatnot. And what that did, and then those experiences, along with affairs that happened in the family and those kind of things, shaped my perception of relationships, of sex, of those things that later lended to not having healthy relationships,
Mm.
and having dishonesty and trouble with commitment and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so I in ceremony, the 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 patterns of being dishonest in relationships, the patterns of lack of commitment, and those behaviors um, that one part of me, of course, knew I shouldn't be doing, right? But they occurred anyway. Those things flashed in front of me, and then it went back to those part of my childhood. And she said, this is tied to that. These, this early experience you had, exposure to those early elements, is one of the things that contributed to those later cycles.
Wow. Profound. So you had an understanding of your lack of commitment, infidelity in past relationships,
Yeah.
and some insight probably to your current relationship.
Yeah.
Powerful. So I'm interested in, you had experiences with ayahuasca in someone's den, as you said.
Yeah.
Right? Like a home, local U.S. thing, probably a weekend or a night or two.
Weekend. Yeah.
And then you went for a deeper dive and spent 2 months with the Shipibo in the jungles of Peru.
Yeah.
And did dietas, which are profound deep dives where you're fasting and just ingesting the plant.
Right.
Yeah. And studying the plant, I think is what they would say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've had this experience here.
Yeah.
So give us a little overview of the differences, not better or worse, but the things that you noticed in your experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So each of them, all of it was beautiful, right? My first introduction to sitting in someone's den, and the medicine, of course, came in from South America, and they were smart people, and they knew how to sit with the medicine, hold the space, but it was my first introduction, and it was powerful, I will say, but it was just literally showing up and sitting in the den, and we drink, and there was some music afterwards, and everyone would say, all right, goodbye and good luck, and that was kind of that experience. And so I was left to my own devices to go try to figure it out afterwards and whatnot. With my experience in the jungle, it was a deeper dive, a very deep dive, and I really probably jumped the gun, to tell the truth. Typically an kind of all or nothing person. I gotta go in deep when I do it, and so but that's okay. And so went into the jungle, and we did 2 dietas, one with Noya Rao and one with Bomansana, and over the 2 months did about 24 ceremonies, and learned a lot about myself and about the plants and relationship with the plants, and studied the Icaros, the Shipibo culture, and how they approach the medicine and how they hold ceremony, right? And watch the maestro there really shape the container and the maloca and the space, and guide us through that, right? We only spoke Spanish, and we had to have an interpreter who helped us interpret, and There was facilitators there who would guide us along the way, and it was profound. I grew tremendously, right? Um, Somewhat of an integration program. I'd say that the major integration component was lacking. I think that's really a key component, and processing of what was going on in ceremony, right? Really explaining and having a better understanding about what each of us might have been going through while we were there, intending to that in a meaningful way, was lacking.
Mm.
Um, but the understanding of the plants was deep. That I will say that, and I learned the culture, and I learned how they hold space, and got a sense for that and whatnot. So again, I don't think none of it wasn't not one was not better than the other. Right?
Sure.
Right. But I will say that coming to Rhythmia, I feel like I got the full picture, right? All of the different components of what I might have been going through were taken care of, were tended to. I was taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from you show up, you enter into yoga class, you're doing breathing breath work. You're starting ceremony prior to the ceremony, right? I mean, you get on the plane, you start the ceremony, but
Right.
but we got here and you're eating clean food, super clean food. You're the first night you're attending yoga and breath work. You're preparing, getting ready, and clearing your mind out. And then the next day you continue, and then the first ceremony happens, and each step along the way is kind of building upon the other step, so they're not just thrust into a potential whirlwind, and they're mindful of that. They say baby steps. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's move in together. Let's it's soft. There's a softness to it in its powerful hammer.
The velvet hammer.
The velvet hammer, right. Right, but there's a softness and there's intention around every single component here, right? And it's obvious. It's super obvious, that intention. So when you enter the first ceremony, there's intention around that and that softness moving in. And then the next day with the integration and the classes and asking the right questions and the concepts that you need to think about and question and even things you can bring to ceremony the next day, right? And then the next ceremony, kind of step up and go a little bit deeper in a different space, different energy into the space. So it's like peeling off the layers a little bit.
Let me ask you. One of the things that we say here is that the three intentions, that are Rhythmia's core work, Jerry received from the medicine, and that's actually what the medicine's been trying to do this whole time: show you who you become, merge you with your soul, heal your heart. He just distilled it, in his way. But that's. Would you agree that that at some level, that's actually what all three settings were trying to do?
Absolutely, they were trying to, and I think that potentially that could happen, but I didn't have a concept or have my head around it.
Right. It's so clear here.
It's super clear, right? Merging back to my soul, what I really relate to that is my initial statement about that perceived discontentment,
Mm-hmm.
right, or unhappiness, right? That separation, that split, as we talked about, right? The split that occurs based on things in your life, and that merge back is part of that discontentment, that potential unhappiness, right?
Because you said it was a sense of discontent.
It was a sense, right?
It was like a feeling, but really everything's good. Why can't I feel it?
Right.
That's the key.
And then healing of the heart, right? I mean,
forgiving.
Yeah.
So beautiful, brother. So, anything else you'd like to share about your experience here this week?
Definitely coming back.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, it's I think if anybody's thinking about coming here and they haven't made up their mind, I highly encourage them to do more research and watch these videos and other things that are out there that Rhythmia puts out to really dig deep, because and make that decision for yourself, because I feel like, this isn't a trial run for me, for our life,
Right.
right? This isn't a trial run. This is it, right? In this body,
Right.
now, this is it. And so, you know, I want to be the best version of myself I can be, for myself, for my family, for my community, and move through that. And if I have to go through the trenches and through some sludge to do that, to get the other side, then I'm going to do it. So that's it. I mean, I think that if anybody's looking to be that best version of themselves, to become the butterfly, blossom into the flower, whatever, all the analogies that are out there, this is the place that it can happen for you, for sure.
I love it. I agree. I absolutely agree. Thank you all. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us. We hope to see you at Rythmia. Come by and see us. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Ciao. Oh, hey, Auntie Mama. Good to see you. Oh, look at this. Jeff, thank you, brother. Thank you for the beautiful comment. Appreciate you. And Susan, thank you. Thank you all. Blessings.